Hey Year 8, today you're going to do your third prac, which is your pork and beef sliders recipe. Now, because you're at home, you obviously can change this recipe to suit what you've got and what your parents have gone out and bought for you. If you want to turn these into a big burger and use big hamburger rolls, go for it. But for you today, I bought these beef slider rolls, which are cute and tiny, one little bite. So the first thing you're going to do is chop up your shallot. Now remember, I use a tea towel at home just to put under my chopping board. I'm using an electric fry pan to cook the little meat patties. So I'm just going to preheat that now. And I've done that on around 180. So if you're on your fry pan, normal fry pan, do it on a medium heat. You are going to need a chef's knife. And you will need a serrated knife or a bread knife for your bread rolls. So first step, it says to mix together your mince, your shallots, some tomato sauce and herbs. Now I've just picked from the garden and just washed some herbs. Now I've got some parsley and some oregano I've just picked. So pick off what you want to use and throw away the stems. And then obviously you're going to chop up your shallot. So you can see I've just taken it straight from the garden. I'm going to chop off that bit. And I will replant that for next time so it regrows. So don't throw that away. Peel off that outer layer of your shallot and you give it another wash if it needs it. With your parsley, if you've got parsley, just take off the leaves and don't worry about the stalk. You can save the stalk for something else if mum's happy to save it, or just throw it in your compost pile. You only need a handful. So just going to pick all that up, and these I'll save for something else. So when you chop up greenery like this, you're going to chop it up quite small. So to do that, put it in a bundle and then using your chef's knife, you're going to thinly slicing it. Remember to keep your fingers curled away. I'm not lifting my knife off the board much to slice, and I'm just pulling my fingers back every time, but trying to keep my herbs in a little bundle, and then keeping my hand on top of the blade, chopping the parsley and oregano. Try and do it as fine as you can, go over it a few times. So you just use whatever herbs you have. If you don't have fresh herbs, you can just use some dried herbs of your choice. So I've just chucked it in a bowl. Now with my shallot, I'm just going to thinly slice it. I'm not going to use this part of it, so that can go in the rubbish. And as thin as you can. Now if you don't have a shallot and all you have is a brown onion or a red onion, you can use that. It's up to you how you'd want to flavour it up. And also, if you don't eat pork mince, you don't need to include it. But pork mince is just going to help it get a little bit of flavour in the fat if that's in the pork mince. So that's again up to you in how you do your mince. If you want to turn these into chicken burger ones and use some chicken mince, you can do that and substitute it. Or if you need to substitute it as a vegetarian, you can do this with some grilled tofu or get some of that alternative meat. Now what you're going to do is throw your mince in. Oops. I'm just doing extra because obviously I'm making a whole batch up for the family for dinner. So there is going to be a kilo of mince for me. So I've got some pork and some beef mince. And then your recipe says tomato sauce to put in with your herbs. So you can just do a nice squeeze or get your actual spoon out. I'm also going to add some salt and pepper to this. So I just have some Maldon salt, but you can use table salt. If that's the salt you have, and I'll just grab some pepper. Make sure your sleeves are up. And you're going to mush these all together. Now you can add other things into this mix, like an egg if you wanted to, and some breadcrumbs. So these are just going to be plain little neat rissoles with a bit of herbs, a bit of seasoning and sauce. If you don't like tomato sauce and you want to do barbecue, you can do that too. All right, my pan is hot. I'm just going to give my fingers a rinse. Okay, so I'm just going to add a drop of oil into my pan. Don't go crazy, I don't want it swimming. I'm just enough to coat the bottom of my pan. So because I've got little rolls, those ones, I can obviously only make it in little ones. So shape it in your hands with your wet hands. It makes it really easier to shape it into a little rissole. Flatten it down in your hands. Give it a little poke in the middle, and that stops it from shriveling up into a tiny little ball. So I've just got my thumb, did a little indent, and then put it in my pan. Now your recipe says to make 4. I'll just do 4 little ones now. Just roll it, push it down, thumbprint in the middle. Now you can eat your beef mince a little under. It won't matter if it's a little pink in the middle. If it was chicken mince, yes, please make sure you cook it all the way through. But you'll notice in some of the high-end restaurants, they do like their meat a little raw, like not raw, but a little underdone. That just helps it from being like going dry. It keeps it juicy. All right, so there's my 4 cooking in my pan, and I'll put that aside for dinner tonight. All right, you will need obviously an egg flipper to flip it. Your recipe says to put some tomato and cheese. Gonna rinse some cherry tomatoes. Now what I'm going to do is slice your tomato as thin as you can. Use your serrated knife if you don't have a sharp chef knife, or sharp chef knife works well. So I'm just doing a couple of thin slices to put inside them, but I'll also save the top of it to put on the very top. You'll see in a minute when I present. Your recipe also says to use rocket. Now I just bought a mixed bag of lettuce, but I also have in the fridge some normal lettuce left from last week. So you can use whatever type of lettuce you like. You don't have to go by rocket, but if you have rocket leaves, you're more than welcome to use them. So there's some leaves, some spinach, a mixed leaf. Okay, so once your meat is starting to go brown on one side, and you'll start seeing it on the side of it, then you can flip it. Don't flip it too early, flip it when you're ready. So if you're following on the recipe, I'm done step 1, which was make my mince. Step 2, which was divided into 4 patties. Step 3 is start cooking it, about 3 minutes on either side. And then I'm going to have to done my tomato prep. And now I'm going to do some cheese slices. Now if you've got the cheese already cut, great, use that. If you have a block cheese, try and cut it as thin as you can. I'm just going to cut a wedge off, just make it easier for me. Alright, you've also got the option of what dressing you would like. The recipe does say to use aioli, which is a garlic mayonnaise. But if you have things like a barbecue sauce or a tomato sauce or even like a burger sauce, you can use that. That's up to you how you sauce it up. Okay, so they've been cooking for a few minutes. I'm just giving them a turn. You can see they're golden. Press them down a little. Okay. My last thing is to get my bread ready. So this should take about another 2-3 minutes while I get my bread done. Gotta wipe that. So using your serrated knife, you can cut them in half. Now these are quite fresh, I bought them this morning, but if yours are a day or so old and you want to put them under the grill just to warm them back up, you're more than welcome to grill them. Okay, so your recipe says to put some aioli down, then your meat, and then your obviously tomato sauce if you want them. There's some extra slice of tomato. Then you're going to assemble it how you like. So I've got 4 toothpicks. Alright, so feel your meat once it's done, just the meat, not the pan, and you'll feel it quite firm. Then you can turn it off. Okay, so I have put on here my aioli. Putting on my little rissoles, meat patties. Okay, so I'm going to put a bit of cheese on. A sliced tomato. Rocket if you've got it. I've just got that mixed lettuce mix. Now you're going to grab the lid, put it on, grab your toothpick, put your tomato, leftover tomato in it as your garnish, and that will hold it all in place. Okay, there you go, you ate your pork and beef sliders. Don't forget to wash up before you eat, and any of your veggie scraps, please put it in your compost or give it to your animals if you have animals. Thanks, guys.